Hi, I've been asked to record a video to talk about the assignment, so I'm just going to make a few comments over and above the ones that I've already made on the discussion forum on UTS Online. So what we're trying to do with this assignment is we're trying to achieve a number of things. Firstly, we're trying to get you to demonstrate an ability to understand accounting standards. So you need to work out which standards are relevant and explain essentially what choices they give you. The second thing we want you to do, and I'm not going through A, B, C, D yet, I'll talk about those in a moment. Second thing we want you to do is we want you to understand how those choices can be exploited. So I'll get onto that in a few moments. And then we're asking you to apply it in a particular context. So that's where we're going overall with the assignment. So let's now just address the four parts. So firstly, with reference to TCL, identify and summarise the accounting policies relating to toll road concessions and how these are dictated by regulation. All right, so TCL is a company that runs concessions. Now, I'm using concessions because that word actually has a specific meaning. If TCL operates the Cross-City Tunnel, if you read enough, you realise they don't actually own the Cross-City Tunnel. They have a right to operate it for a period of time. And that right is given by the New South Wales state government. And after that period of time elapses, the tunnel will go back to the state government. That's generally how the New South Wales state government operates private-public partnerships. The private company builds it, they have a right to operate it for 20, 50, 90 years, whatever, and then they give it back. So it's a concession. You don't own the asset, you own the right to operate the asset. So for TCL, where do you look? We're talking about the TCL group statements. The fact that they've got some subsidiaries is not that important. We want the overall financials. And you would need to look at the notes to the accounts to see what accounting policies are important for TCL. Now, the notes to the accounts, I think it's note B2 or B3, something like that, tells you what accounting policies they use, a little bit about, I'm not sure, I haven't looked at in a lot of detail about the choices that they make when they can make choices. Now, how do you work out which accounting policies do you talk about? Which accounting standards do you look at? And look, I wouldn't choose more than 3 or 4 different policies. And probably the best way of working out which policies are important to them, look at the numbers in the financial statements. Which numbers are big? Because that's where accounting policy matters. That's where making changes, making choices can affect the financial statements substantially. So all we really want there in Part A is for you to tell us what accounting policies, so which standards apply. Are there other items other than standards that apply? And what they require them to do, what they require TCL to do in terms of reporting. Part B, with reference to TCL, identify and explain the flexibility management has underpinning the toll road business. So what we're wanting you to look at there is you've identified some standards, some accounting rules in Part A. We now want you to answer the question, how much choice do they have? What is the possibility that they can manipulate accounting numbers? And if you think about flexibility is actually one of two things. Some standards will give you choices as to how you record things. For example, for assets, we can use the cost model, the fair value model. For extractive industries, mining, we can capitalize exploration and evaluation costs, or we can expense them. So that's one level of choices that the standards explicitly give you. The second level of choice may exist even if the first level of choice doesn't exist. Anywhere you make an estimate or use a judgment, there's some flexibility, right? At the margin, you can use that flexibility to skew the numbers a little bit this way or a little bit that way. So we really want to understand whether you comprehend the level of flexibility that these accounting standards give TCL. Okay, and then we're basically saying, look, what happens if the toll road business deteriorates? So what implications does this have for the balance sheet and the income statement? If you like, or any other financial statements, if you like, these are first order effects. What is the direct effect if the toll road business deteriorates. Okay, so what happens when a business deteriorates? What do you look at? What do you consider? Yeah, I don't want to give it away because this was something. But I talked about impairment testing a few weeks ago. It's not the only thing, right? There might be other issues. And then part D is pushing a little bit further, pushing to that theme that has underpinned the entire subject, the theme of incentives, the theme of contracts. So it says if oil prices were to substantially increase and thereby reduce the usage of private motor vehicles, evaluate the potential economic consequences of the changes in TCL's financial statements you identified in Part C. So look, I guess we know that financial numbers aren't just information. They're used in contracts. They're used in contracts between managers and the firm. They're used in contracts between the firm and lenders. So any changes that happen on the financial statements have impacts on those contracts. And those impacts can be costly. You might need to renegotiate a contract. Managers might, get smaller bonuses. Right? So that's an impact. How does it impact on how those contracts apply? And if you then dig further, you might want to consider, well, okay, if these are the impacts, what do you think management's going to do to mitigate or reduce those impacts? Okay, so really, Part D is bringing through, that stuff we did in the first week, week 0, week 1, the stuff we did in the first week. That goes all through the subject. And remember, that's probably one of the most important things of this subject. You need to understand the standards. You need to be technically okay, but you need to think critically about how numbers are used or how people use numbers. Okay, I hope that's been, sorry, I'm up to 7 minutes now. I hope I haven't been ranting too much, but I hope that gives you some useful guidance. Okay. Best wishes. Any further questions, as usual, go to the discussion board on UTS Online. Okay, see you guys in class.